ridiculous. We can't both be hat boys, all right? I showed up here with a hat.
I'm wearing a shirt. Can you take that off? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our show. We're so happy to have you here with us. I have the incomparable Tsuku. That's me, myself, I. Tyler's also here. How you doing, Skorge?
It was good. Shake it off. Shake it off. I'm great, dude. I'm doing good.
Oh man. Oh.
Yeah. I'm excited. This is different.
Yes, we have a new format of media I recommended last week. Not Now, I'm Busy. For anybody joining us for the first time, this is the Neon Valley Media Club, where we recommend a form of media to the other person that the other person hasn't seen or experienced, and then we review it. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah,
we're going... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm just so excited.
For anybody watching this that doesn't know, we usually do movies. That was what we started on, but we always planned on spreading it out. That's why we called it the Media Club and not the Movie Club. We're just going to jump into this. Let's start off with our normal ratings. We give our first initial ratings right off the bat, right?
Yep. Ready?
No, hold on. I'm putting an asterisk on this, okay? Because this is different. We're reviewing an album. So this means that the sum of its parts do not equal the whole.
A quick debrief. I gave a rating out of 10 for each song on the album. So
Same.
Each song had its own individual rating. The final rating I have is not the exact same as if you were to calculate based on...
For Not Now I'm Busy by Joyner Lucas, we give it a 3, 2, 1. 6 out of 10.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes. I will make this very clear. A 6 out of 10 does not reflect each individual song on the album. I don't think every song is a 6 out of 10. If I want to give my quick overview of why I landed on a 6 out of 10, I'll just jump in real quick because you seem to have liked it a lot more. So I'll at least defend my 6 out of 10 for a second. I think the album's too long. I think if he had cut this down to 10 of the best songs, some of these songs just kind of feel like filler. And those are the ones that really knocked it down for me because it just felt too bloated.
Okay. I can understand that. I'm a big fan of Joyner Lucas to begin with. So there's definitely like a decent amount of bias in there. But one of the things that I enjoyed is there's a blend in terms of the variety of type of tracks you get. For somebody who uses skits, he does so in a way that doesn't feel like it interrupts the album. It doesn't feel like something where if I wanted to kind of just listen to the music, I don't have to skip like 3 songs because they're just talking skits. Like there's little things that he includes in the songs that reference the message of the album as a whole. And I think some of the features that he has on this album were really good and did a great job of staying on topic for the songs that they were on. So we'll dive into each of the songs a little bit more. And then there's a bonus point that I give this album. And I realized the way I'll have my rating, but then there's like additional points you can get depending on what you can do. So one thing that I think...
Are they kind of hot?
One thing I think this album did well is I can listen to this entire album without hitting skip. Are there songs I like more than others? Absolutely.
Really?
But
there's a couple skips on here for me. I'll be honest. Sorry. Yeah.
There's a few that I kind of have an idea of, but I think I could listen to this song without necessarily skipping it, which is part of the reason why I don't mind putting it up as high.
That's fair.
Because I'm also trying to compare this to like somebody with other artists I highly respect, like Eminem and Wayne and Jay-Z. You know, I want to make sure that this isn't just, he's going to get his own special rating. Like, and when we get into the songs, I think that'll be more clear.
Okay. It's funny you mentioned the thing about skits and how you like how there's not many. It's funny that I actually wished there was more. I think like the album suffers from the fact that the songs seem to be so wishy-washy with its like morals and story and tone that if there was an arcing kind of like skit that made more sense of it, because I'll admit the music videos saved this album a little bit more for me. The music videos made sense of what he's visioning when he made these songs. Do you know what I mean?
So funny thing you should say that. And maybe part of the reason too is I watched a big interview that somebody had with Joyner specifically, about this album and his experiences. That again kind of gave me a little bit more context and insight. One of the things that his manager talks about is when Joyner writes a song, Joyner starts with envisioning the music video. He comes up with the music video and his vision first, and then he starts writing the song. So it would make sense that like his music videos are works of art, and they've always been that way.
Yeah, they're really good. Like, obviously, a couple of them I watched were just kind of like filler music. Like I would say the 17 Mac Miller music video.
Yeah,
there's nothing really special about that music video. Like, it's just kind of like he's on a black background. There's a bunch of people. He's hype. There's nothing like insane about it. But music videos like Broski and shit like that, like those are like works of art, basically. Like, I'll admit.
We're gonna get into Broski. The fun fact about the 17 music video, if I'm correct, because I haven't watched that one in a bit. That's the one they're like in front of like a yogurt shop, right?
I think so. They're in front of a bunch of locations, if I remember correctly. But
the yogurt that's his yogurt shop he opened up.
Oh, he owns it. Okay, yeah. So free advertisement. Yeah, okay.
No, it's Joyner is really good at intertwining all the things he does. Like he's a very good
businessman. Person. Yeah, I was gonna say he's a mogul for sure. So yeah, but to the point of the skits, I wish that there was an overarching story that I could follow just listening to the album. I don't really feel like there is. It's almost like he hints at one. Like clearly there's like this backing story of like him recording a video admitting to like the murder of people that he like just like there's this interesting like kind of backstory to the album that's hinted through by him like searching through like radio channels and then like of tape recording and things like that. But again, they don't. It's just kind of there's a few songs that'll end with like a and Joyner was found at the and it's not like enough for me to feel like I'm there's a story behind this.
Okay.
So I guess once we get into the individual songs, I can explain a little bit more of why they feel like so wishy-washy, but also why the music videos help almost explain what he was going for at the end of it. All right, so is there anything you want to say more about the album, or do you want to jump into like individual songs?
We'll jump into individual songs. I have some fun facts, but I'd rather include them at times that come up around what they're about versus me just being like, oh, here's a bunch of fun random things. All right, so we'll start out with the first track on the album, Put Me On. Put Me On, I gave an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a good track. I like the jazzy intro. I like that he kind of acknowledges, he goes, I don't have to say my name. And in that kind of first initial part, a lot of times, very beginning of songs, rappers are saying their name, and it makes sense. They want it to be memorable.
Logic. Yeah.
Exactly. And he kind of acknowledges, I don't even have to say my name. And the song is called Put Me On. So I do like this is more even creative perspective as an artist, just the fact that song name is intertwined with the song itself and what the message of that one is, which is really at the end of the day it's a braggadocious track, just telling why he's the best.
Yeah, and to that point, like the Put Me On name, literally it's like the start of a show. Put me on, put me in, coach. Like I'm ready. Yeah, I gave it a 7 out of 10. It's a good start. I like the vibes, Childish Gambino vibes, like heavy, like
ooh yeah,
which I love. I actually wasn't a big fan of the vaporwave kind of backing track. I liked it at the beginning because it sounded like an intro to an album, and then he goes, "Fuck it, I don't need no intro," and then goes into his verse, and I love that. But it keeps doing that loop of like the like that weird.
Yeah.
And it kind of got like annoying to me a little bit, and I was losing the head bop value because I'm like, this vaporwave liminal space beat is like super weird. I don't know. It might grow on me though. It might be one of those things where later I'm like, you know what? This is pretty fucking fire. It's a good start to the album. I'm Ill is the second song on the album.
This one was another 8 out of 10. It almost got a little bit higher. I almost wanted to do like halves for the music ones.
I wanted to give this album a 6.5 because I think 6 isn't really fair, but I think 7 isn't how I feel. Does that make sense? Like,
That's fair. Yeah. The way I almost kind of was grading it in my head, right, is a 10 to me is like a Lose Yourself by Eminem. Now, not saying that you have to have the impact that Eminem had, you have to be as big of an artist, but as big as that song was to Eminem in his career, like, and there's a song that I think absolutely does that on this album. But for me, I'm like, okay, at a 9 is like, I'm showing people this song. Like, I'm like, oh, I really like this song. I'm showing people this song. Like, if I'm giving somebody a ride, oh, there's a cool song I need to show you. And it's one of those where a 7 to me is, I'm not going to skip it. I'm probably not going to put it on. Like at a 9 or an 8, at a 9, I'm going to, and even an 8, I might actually go to actively like put the song on. But at a 7, I'm probably not going out to select that song, but if it comes on, I might not skip it.
I think I think we have roughly the same metric here.
Rating system. Okay.
Yeah. Because once you're hitting like 6 or 7, it's like you're not bad, but I just probably won't search you out. I have it as an 8 out of 10. But
yeah, 8 out of 10.
I do have an asterisk on it, though, a little bit. It's where I started to notice why I think some people will not resonate with this album. I was trying to step outside of myself, like I'm being a critic, put my critic hat on. How would people, I gave it an 8 out of 10, but what I was hearing is a very old sound, and not even old school, but just kind of like behind the times. Like, this almost sounds like a song that would come out in 2014, right? And it would be a fucking banger. Even the word ill, like, nobody uses the word ill anymore. I don't really put a negative on that because I still make and love music that I think is stuck in that time era because it's where I grew up and was influenced the most by, is like between those years and where I made music. I could see where other people would start thinking, oh, this is corny.
Interesting.
This gave me Cal Scrubby vibes, but like 2016 Cal Scrubby.
Very, very different vibes than I think I got.
Really?
The sample I had actually wrote like threw me off at first. Like, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this one. And then the way it comes in like really heavy, I was like, okay. All right, it's cool. This is definitely like a flex song. And I thought he actually transitioned well when he would go from his smooth rapping into a faster rap and then back out. Yeah, like, it didn't feel abrupt.
Yeah, I even took note of that. Like, he goes from like a triplet to a 4x4. Like, he'll like a bit of and then I got that with the fee, like, he switches between flows very naturally. Like, I can't even come close to what he was doing with my example. But yeah, I did even note that down. It's a good song, 8 out of 10. So on to the next track, we have Waiting on This.
Waiting on This. Bro, this feel? One I had at a 10 for the longest time, and then as I was coming up with like my finalized list, I was like, probably gonna end up settling on a 9.
Okay.
Because I really like this song. I love the trumpets. I love the kind of triumphant, overcoming feeling that I get listening to it. I think he fits in the pocket really well. Is very smooth. And I think this is also the first song that really starts to give you a little bit more, I think, information as to like what the message of the album really is.
Interesting. I have it slightly lower. I'm at a 6 out of 10 on this one. And it's funny because you pointed out the horns, and I kind of thought, I had a feeling you would love them because you're a big horns guy. You're a horny guy. Yep. Let's just be honest.
I am. I'm quite horny.
You're a horny guy. But again, I'm going to point it out. Those horns are so early 2010s that my first note was, holy shit, this song sounds like it came out when I was in high school. I actually found it a little corny for that reason. Like, I almost... Yeah, there was something about the fact that the horns sounded like early 2010s Drake that it pulled me out a little bit. And he does show his lyricism on this more than the previous two songs.
Yep.
I want to say.
Yep.
But there are a few lines that I hated, and I think it brought it down like a point, like a whole point, just because I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? Especially because my pet peeve is that when a rapper says a line like it's the hardest fucking thing he's ever said in his life, and then when you really think about it, you're like, what are you talking about? This is the line I have. If you're at 10, then I'd be 200 divided by 2. I'm too good at math. I fucking hated that line. It makes no sense.
So this he might be referencing a song. Hold on, I need to double check this.
Okay,
because I remember I had to listen to that a few times.
If 200 divided by 2 or something like that is a reference to something specific, then maybe I can give him more credit. But there's just something about that that's like not hard at all. But he says it and the beat drops like it's one of the hardest lines ever.
I don't know if I'm confusing this because at the same time that Joyner dropped this album is the day that Kendrick released his diss song about Drake. So a couple days later, then J. Cole releases a diss album. And on that, J. Cole references something that Jay-Z said that sounded very similar. And I was trying to figure out if this was actually like a third accidental because he talks about breaking down the numbers like he's breaking down the person he's talking to. So there's a very, hold on. 4 albums in 10 years. I can divide 4 albums in 12. Oh no, that I can divide that. That was a different one. So only other, okay, so that was an entire different reference.
I'm not disrespecting him as a lyricist because he has really good lyrics.
No, yeah. But yeah, so that one I ended up with like a 9 out of 10 because I'm still like a really big fan.
Respect.
So Broski,
okay,
9 out of 10. This
I'm a 9 out of 10, almost a 10 out of 10. I wrote, this is what hip hop is for. Like this is why you make hip hop. I gotta fix my camera now.
When I was talking about having like your lose yourself, this is kind of that feeling that I got for Joyner. Like, okay, Joyner, I've learned is just, again, we've talked about this business mogul. He's just smart the way he plans things. So here's a little fun fact. When Joyner Lucas picks people to be in his music videos, he specifically picks rappers because he says rappers are going to do the best job of creating what I actually want. They'll be able to learn the songs.
I was going to say, they're always mouthing his
act
lyrics.
It out. Exactly. So he goes, I pick people that I trust that will actually rap my song. So when he released I'm Not Racist, it was before anyone knew who Joyner Lucas was, right?
Yeah.
And the music video is just a white guy with the red hat that says Make America Great Again. And it starts off with him just going off on this black kid.
Real quick, because people at the beginning, they didn't know which one was Joyner Lucas, right? There was kind of like and neither of them were, right?
Exactly, and neither of them were. But, so what it did is it created that buzz, right? Because you have the people that are like, wait, which side am I on? You have the people that are, don't know who Joyner Lucas is. They're trying to figure out, like, all of that was intentional.
Interesting. That's smart. That's actually really smart. So wait, now that I'm wondering, was that guy who was in the I'm Not Racist
video? Or I'm Not Racist.
In the I'm Not Racist music video, was he the same one that was in the Best For Me music video?
No, so the guy in the Best For Me music video, his name is Jelly Roll. He's another
No, not the singer, his drug friend.
I don't think so. Maybe, but I think they look like different guys.
Because I'm wondering if that's a rapper. It must be. Because because during those verses, I'm skipping ahead. We won't talk about Best For Me, but just because of the fun fact you brought up. In that music video, that guy, he's keeping up with all of Joyner's lyrics and mouthing them perfectly. So I was like, this guy's good. I was like, this guy.
I was really shocked. And then again, watching that interview and him talking about, I get rappers specifically to do my music videos because he's like, Denzel Washington rapping is going to look weird in a music video. He goes, you need to have rappers. They're the ones that make it feel real. And I was like, such a great attention to detail to have.
True. Yeah, this is starting to bug me. He should make musicals. Because he's so good at making these worlds of people.
Storytelling. He's such a great storyteller.
But I think making a rap album doesn't reflect what he has going on in there. You know what I mean? Like he clearly has like a world and like actors and people, like characters. And that's where when Broski started, dude, I was ready to hate this song because it felt like nothing but him bragging about himself through someone else. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like,
one of my notes is I love how he tells a story seamlessly, weaves it into his songs. He instills a conversation he has with his friends. He has with a friend, but the entire time he's just talking about what that friend has said about him. But the way he sets it up, within like 20 seconds, and not in a bad way, you've forgotten that he set it up that he's talking about himself, but what someone else is saying about him.
See, but I disagree. That's where I disagree. Did you see the music video first, or did you hear the song first? Out of curiosity.
I heard the song first before I watched the music video.
I don't know why, but for me, I was getting like, because there's a few of these songs actually on this that gave me Macklemore vibes.
Okay.
Just mainly to the point of like trying to make a message through a song. And especially because Macklemore has done it a few times where he'll have conversations in his music, and things like that. But I actually felt the opposite. After 20, 30 seconds went by, I was like, is he just bragging about himself? Like, oh man, you always stood up for me. You always gave money. You always, man, you're one of the most talented people I've ever met. And I was like, this is a weird way to like brag about yourself. But it's the switch up that made that moment so much more special. Because like, it's one thing if that's what the song was. If the song was just him using an excuse to brag about himself through someone else, it's a piece of shit. But that's not what it is. So having that setup, like the second he asked like, yeah, but hey, could I have some money? I was like, oh. And then a few lines later when he's like, man, I never asked you for anything. When he just asked him for money, I was like, oh, hold on.
It gets so real. And not just, and this is where I think maybe you noticed, I'm not sure, because again, I've listened to this album a bunch of times. There's two kind of sets of strings. So when his friend is talking to him and talking about him, I almost call them like a flutter. It's almost like like a little bit of like a very like light, bright kind of note that gets strung. I think of like a harp. The second that it starts to change and he starts asking, it never flutters again. And once he starts getting aggressive, then the strings turn into like grungy guitar.
Yeah. I on a production level, I actually believe those might be, I could be wrong, but from how I viewed it, those might be the same sounds, but what he's doing is like the producer, they're cutting off the low end for the synths and the strings, so you're only getting that and it's very beautiful. But as the song goes on, he's cutting off the high end and bringing in the low end, so you start getting the
yeah.
And like that bass comes in and it's really aggressive. And I was like, whoa, like, dude, that shift in tone is beautiful. Like that's where I got musical vibe. Like, if you want to know why I connect with musicals, this song is the reason. It's that shift of tone and you're telling a story and the song just makes you like guide you through this story that makes me like the fact that it made me feel like, this is just a braggadocious song. That's part of it. Like that actually is part of the journey to bring you into this. Like,
yeah, I just love everything about it. So fun fact, second fun fact, in the music video Broski, the guy that's sitting to the right with him with the long hair, that's his manager.
Okay. Oh,
the guy that...
sorry, go ahead.
I would say then the girl that is sitting next to his manager is his mom.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Who's the friend? Do you know?
He's actually from, he's a music artist. I think Rotney. I think Rotney's his name. And he was on, I think, the show Power.
Oh,
but
okay.
It was funny. A lot of people have mentioned he plays that character on a lot of different shows where they're saying they're like, I love this actor so much because I hate him in everything he does.
Like he plays like the fake guy, like yeah,
yep.
interesting.
And I love how when the music video opens up, you get that like that kind of snarl face, and you're like, what the hell? And then it starts, and I love the idea,
dude. It was shot like Saltburn.
Dude, it was, but it was good. That's the difference. It was good.
Fuck you.
I love how even without actually saying anything, you understand that what Joyner is hearing from him. Everybody hears what everyone is hearing when everyone's at the table. When the table's gone and no one's there, that's what Joyner is like. He knows this is what he's actually.
He's hearing the
him.
subtext. Yeah.
Exactly, and the response, and I think Joyner does a great job of acting in his music videos, where he's like, yeah, then he's like.
And I like how at the end he's happy again. I actually like that kind of thing where he's like, hey, buddy, come in, bring it here, brother. Like. Because that is real life. You don't just cut out your friends. Even if, there have been songs in the past that talk about, once I became famous, friends started asking for money and, I can't trust anybody.
Yeah.
But this one did it in a way that's just very original and very different.
And I mean, again, you're talking about, it's a 7-minute song, no hook. And it just flies by every time I listen to it.
Yeah. So good. So good. So we're on to Fake Promises. Okay, so I don't know if this was just off the heels of Broski. I don't like this song. It's the corniest song in the album.
Yeah, I agree. This one had got knocked down to a 7 out of 10, maybe even closer to a 6 out of 10. It's one of those where what I liked was there was no straight up, I mean, there's kind of like a love song, but I feel like this was a way of how do I give a more of like an emotional vibe, but not just that, right? A lot of times when I think of the more like lovey-dovey kind of romantic songs, even if it's coming from like 50 Cent, 21 Questions, right? Gangster rapper, really like actually really beautiful song. A lot of times those songs are seen for the female part of the audience. And again, this is me just throwing out whatever the fuck I'm thinking. Yeah. But maybe him trying to make a romantic song, but for guys to listen to, because the whole perspective of the song is, girl, I'm trying to put you on. I'm trying to help build you up. I'm trying to help you get this bread.
Yeah. I don't like that. That's part of the reason. This is a 4 out of 10 for me. I hate the message of this song. I hate the vibe of this song, like the kind of very slow R&B. Like it's just not there's nothing original about the beat. It's just very basic, and the lyrics they just give off this vibe of like, like, listen, you're hot, but you just don't know what you're doing. Like, let me show you what you're doing wrong. I hate that kind of mindset. Baby, I know what's best for you.
Yeah.
Weird. And because later in the album, he kind of tries to put on this, like, he keeps going back and forth between like, fuck bitches, I don't need nobody, I'll stomp a bitch out and leave them on the side of the street type of shit. Like, I think even in I'm Ill, he talks about like I'll leave it might have been a different song, I can't remember which one, but it's like, yeah, I'll leave a bitch on the side of the street, I don't care. And then he has a love song where he's like, no, baby, I need you. I want you. It's like, what are you doing? Like, and again, if this was a stylistic choice, an artistic choice to be saying like, oh, this is where the character was at this point in the story. At this point of the story, he was a character who didn't understand love and that's not made clear enough. So for me, this is just Joyner Lucas being Joyner Lucas, rapping about telling a bitch that she needs to get in check. Like, so that's kind of what I took away from it, at least.
Interesting. Do you know what the album's actual message is?
I mean, I guess as a whole, I'll be honest, I haven't really thought about the entire theme of the album.
So, because I didn't know if I should save like what the ending for the album is.
If you feel like I'm missing something, I 100% would like you to lay it out for me.
The whole idea of like he's covered in blood on the album cover. the whole referencing killing, he's saying he's killed himself. That the old Joyner was a person who gave people a lot of chances, who even when people probably shouldn't have been given an opportunity, and again, like that reference in Broski of him allowing people that he knew wasn't good for him into his life. And because of that, it's made him cold. It's made him really not care about anybody else and shut himself out. And I mean, even in his relationships, he has 2 kids, he's had girlfriends, but not with anybody I think currently serious. So I could also see how that is somebody who's like, I do want a relationship, but I also just want to fuck bitch. Like, it's almost if we're
it's like self-reflective,
yes, because again, it's not just him saying, oh, these are a bunch of different songs. All the songs are supposed to kind of connect to that story. I mean, so Broski and waiting on this when I had mentioned like, oh, he kind of references the hint at it. He mentions I should have listened to Biggie, more money, more problems. I should have listened to Biggie, was kind of him saying, oh, I'm starting to notice there's changes. The way people treat me is different. People are asking for things. I can't trust anyone. And so I think that's where a lot of the darker elements come in. But like with Fake Promises, although I think out of all the songs on the album, it's not the strongest by far.
No. I can respect that. I can see the vision, right, of what you're saying, where it's like someone kind of going through their past self and then coming to the realization that they are killing their past self to create a new persona, essentially.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that I don't feel like that ever happens. Like if there was a song where halfway through, like let's say he's talking about fucking bitches and then he stops and goes, yeah, but why do I want to fuck bitches? They're like, why do I love it? But I want to settle down. I want to do this. And has like a retrospective kind of moment. I don't feel like he ever really has that. So it just kind of feels like you have one song where he wants to fuck bitches, one song where he wants to be in love, one song where he wants to fuck bitches, one song where he doesn't want to fuck with bitches. and like, so there was just never that completion, that the edgest of it. He was edging us too much.
Yep. That's fair. Do you think if it didn't have the more love-centered songs on it, it changes the album?
Yeah. Those are a couple of the songs that I think fuck it up.
The next is then When I Need Love. I felt like this one was at least like a bouncier track. This one was a little bit more fun.
Yep. I like the vocals.
And I think, I think he did a really good job of playing around with a little bit of a different vocal range there. And I think that this was a more realistic, like, I almost feel like Fake Promises, and I mean, right, Fake Promises. He's promising a girl he can tell her, do all this stuff for her.
But I thought it was like her. Okay.
I mean, maybe
now
it is,
I like that. Okay, I would like that. I like that more.
and the only thing is I'll say is, again, we look at the very first song on the album, Put Me On, like, Joyner does have a habit of doing this. Like, he is a lot more intentional with this album. So I think the idea of Fake Promises of being, I can't really offer that to you. Because, again, the next song of When I Need Love, well, these are all the things that I want.
See, you do give a much better context for this album. Like, if it was in a movie that had these scenes following each other, I would like it a lot more. I think it's just hearing them separate. They just sound like 2 different rap songs that I'm like, eh. Like, that's interesting. That's so interesting. Yeah.
Right, because, again, Broski is showing you what's happening with his friends. And then Big Promises kind of showing you maybe the way that he's treated women.
Yeah.
And then When I Need Love is like, this is how I actually feel, though. This is what I want. This is when I need what I want.
Yeah. And I did like, he almost has like a Kendrick kind of vocal like that, like swimming pools. It's like a bassy harmony. Yeah. That was cool. The mixing on it was really well done. Yeah, I gave this a 6 out of 10. I don't know if I already said that.
I gave this an 8 out of 10. I was wavering between the 7 or an 8, but again, I think this was also the ability to take something that would naturally feel like a little bit more like a maybe like a slower love song on an album, and giving it its own little kind of fresh spin of, maybe it's not like the healthiest love relationship that he's feeling, but
It's honest in a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. I was wavering a little bit between a 7, but I kind of landed on a 6. It just felt a little bland, I guess, when it comes to like music, if I'm comparing it to every other music in the world or whatever. But yeah, no, it's a solid track. All right, what do we got next?
Next is Cut You Off. I really like this one. I thought the darker beat was nice to kind of get us back into, I think, that deeper message of the album. And then very clear message of, I gotta cut you off. I'm not fucking with you anymore. I like the way that his delivery builds up, where it's slower. Like he uses his voice so incredibly well in so many different ways. And then even NBA Youngboy, man, I was surprised. He did I think a pretty good job of keeping up with Joyner, staying on topic. And I think it was a really good use of auto-tune. I don't feel like he overused it, because again, Joyner is not really a heavy auto-tune guy, but I think he can be paired with any other artist and is able to match. But in this case, the fact that it's Joyner's song, I thought he did a really good job of matching Joyner's pace.
Yeah, I'm glad there was a feature, because I even kind of noted down it was getting a little one note. Like, again, it's an album from an artist, so of course the album is going to be all of that artist's music.
Right.
Yeah, but there was something about just hearing his flow and voice for like 5 songs in a row that I started to feel a little monotony, where I was like, all right, I need something different. So having Youngboy NBA on there really did help. And his melody is a good touch. He does something different than Joyner. Like, I hate it when people feature on a track and then just follow the same exact flow.
Match,
logic. But anyway,
different.
So I fucking it. God, it's so annoying. But yeah, I gave this one a 6 out of 10. You know what? I think I'll even bump it up. I'll say this one's a 7 out of 10. If I gave When I Need Love a 6, I think this is a 7. This is a little better. It's the hook. The hook's a little boring. Like, cut you off, or whatever. Like, it's one of those hooks that you don't think about. It's like it's about the verses.
Yeah, I gave this a 9 out of 10. I thought it was like, again, this is one where I'm like, yeah, I'd show this to other people. I'm like,
it's a good party song. All right, guess we shouldn't spend too much time on each song. So next we have, what's that?
I gave this one a 10 out of 10.
Really?
This one was really cool.
This might be our most. Maybe I have to listen to it again. This might be our most divisive song. I gave it a 5 out of 10. It's just so it's so repetitive. I don't know.
So here's my thing is, like, if you're gonna give me a super repetitive beat, I'm listening for the bars, because that tells me that's what I'm supposed to be paying attention to.
I might have to listen to it again. I've only listened to it like 2 or 3 times, but
you either misdirected or you incorrect. I got a Smith & Wesson, let it rip your flesh and let it split your neck until you're missing sections. I'm an evil curse inside a bigger blessing. Yeah, he's got some bars on this one.
But can I say that it's not clever? Like, none of those lines feed into the previous line to make a pun off of the line that was said 4 lines ago. You know what I mean? Like, shit Eminem does and Kendrick does and J. Cole and shit, where it's like, those are lyrically very nice sounding and they come off very cleanly. But it's one of those things where, do any of those lines actually, like, feed into a greater thing? Does that make sense? I don't mean to diss on it too hard. I'm not trying to rip on it too hard or anything, because I do really respect him as a lyricist. I'd like to make that very clear.
I think there's times where he'll use it. It takes a lot of listens to catch all of them.
That's fair.
Like, I could maybe see myself going to like a 9 out of 10 for that one, but either way,
I wouldn't want to bring you down by any means.
Next is then Sticks and Stones. This one was an easy 10 for me, because this one I love. So Conway the Machinist from Griselda, huge Conway fan. Conway is one of those, he raps at that kind of slower pace, but almost every other thing he says is some kind of a punchline or some bar or something just interesting in the way he says it. And this was Joyner going, okay, now I'm going to peel back the speed and on like all the raps I've been doing, and I'm just gonna go again match pace with this artist who's really good at doing this and able to come up with really good lines, good punchlines. And again, I think to have good punchlines when you're rapping slow is harder because people are paying attention because they can hear. And if it's not that cool and you're just saying like a bunch of cool things in succession, it's going to be apparent.
Yeah, you ain't getting away with the divide 200 by 2 line when you're rapping it slow. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You ain't getting away with that one. No, this is a great song. I 8 out of 10. I said it's a great smoking song. It's like a legit just low rider, fucking, you're driving through the streets like fucking smoking a J. Don't smoke in your cars, by the way, while you're driving. It's
definitely not
legal.
under the influence. I was like, wait, I think the setup on this might need to be a little bit corrected.
But you're acting like you don't know what I'm talking about. You're driving, you're smoking a fucking Fat J illegal meth. Come on, man. You know what I'm talking about when you just got legal meth rolled up, listening to some fucking Sticks and Stones.
I really think we're gonna need to
driving
revisit
down the freeway, going 95 in a 60.
Now, did you pay insurance to this doctor? Did insurance cover this?
What the fuck is insurance?
Okay, we're gonna have a conversation offline, is what we call it in the industry. We're gonna have an offline conversation about this.
Okay.
I think Joyner's showing his versatility. Yeah, honestly, I could keep talking about it, but I'm just gushing about how much I like it. So 10 out of 10 for me.
All right, we still got a bunch of songs. Let's move on.
Yes.
Best for me?
Best for me. Fantastic. This is a 10 out of 10. This one was impactful. And I thought this was a really good, realistic conversation. It wasn't just like addiction's tough and it's going to be okay. And it was just like, no, it's like a real conversation between two people who are dealing with the situation.
I agree. I like the angle of having two people have a conversation about drug use. I think for me, it needed one more verse to wrap up the Joyner's side of the story, if that makes sense. Because it starts off with Joyner kind of being a bad friend, if I'm just being honest. Not understanding how addiction works at all. And saying that like it's not his fault, like I don't like no that's like all his fault, and that it's not a disease, and that like are you just gonna fucking stop, or like are we gonna be friends? Is kind of his vibe. And then you have the response from the friend who's like, "Hey man, that's not how it works. I'm fucked up." If you're just listening to the song, that's where it ends, and you don't really get any conclusion of whether or not Joyner learned anything. You just kind of go like, okay, so are you guys friends? Did you like what happened?
So there is something I'm interested in, because you've mentioned this a few times, like the character's journey, the learning the lesson.
Yeah.
But if this is how he feels his current journey is it possible that he hasn't learned those lessons yet? And so this is less about him creating a character who's going through these things and more about this is how he's just currently dealing with the things he's going through. Because to me, that's the more realistic ending than having that third verse that gives you the closure. It's
but
like
it's a song.
Real life.
At the end of the day, it's a song that you listen to by itself, right? It's like a movie. Like even if a movie is in a trilogy, you still need to make that movie make sense within its world and have a beginning and end, right?
Okay.
And make sure that person's journey is clear in that one movie. Even if the person ends not really understanding the full like motive or like motif or whatever it might be, I think there should still be like, even if he doesn't come to terms with it and fully agree with him, I still feel like there should have been a third verse where Joyner goes like, man, you're just making excuses. You know, you could easily get out of this if you wanted to. Because then that would have honed in like, okay, I haven't learned anything. Yeah, it just left me wanting more. You know, like if the next song followed up on this story and was like, oh, like, all right, where did we leave off on the... But no, like, it just moves on.
Fair. Okay, so next is I Didn't Go, featuring Simba and DMX. 10 out of 10. Fucking love this song.
Fair. I knew since DMX and then we're on it, you were probably going to give it a 10 out of 10. I respect that.
Yep.
I liked the features. It's funny because at first I was listening to DMX and I was like, man, this is kind of a lazy verse. But then I remembered that this is what DMX sounds like. And I don't think DMX is lazy. I just mean like that's DMX's sound. Does that make sense? Like compared to Joyner's lyricism and like everything else we've heard on this album so far, I was like, damn, DMX.
That's how he raps, yeah.
But that's just how he raps. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I gave this a 7. I was leaning a little towards a 6. I don't know. I just was like, I was feeling it, but I wasn't like loving it. You know, the beat was pretty good. There were some clever lines. I like I go pest control. I spray them. You know, it's funny. It's good stuff. Good lines.
Yep. Yeah. I liked that. I felt strong opening. Like what was the fuck a do rag. I had so many brushes with death. I think I got braids. I was like, I think his delivery of punchlines on this was really good. The way he would just end on words. But with Simba, I thought Simba had a great job staying on topic, matching the kind of pace and energy that Joyner had. And then with DMX, and this was actually before DMX passed. So this wasn't like something that like
away.
Yeah. So this is something that he'd actually worked on him before. Fun fact too, DMX is the one who inspired him to write "I'm Not Racist."
Oh, interesting. Hey, comes full circle.
And he also mentioned that DMX actually barked at people in real life. That like they were in an elevator, they were going down some floor, something happened, and then DMX just barked at the elevator. Absolutely love that.
That makes sense. So unchecked autism in the 90s, you gotta love it.
Yeah, you're gonna make sure I can never get a record deal.
What are you talking about?
I'm just kidding.
Man?
I'm just kidding. I don't want the neurovirus or whatever you're calling it. Anyways,
solid track. Not bad.
Yeah,
not bad. Didn't blow my mind, but still not bad. All right. So the next song, Three Little Pigs.
This song.
Where do you land on this one?
I gave it a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Here's why. It's storytelling. On top of it, he specifically made it so that way there's no cussing in it. He had mentioned he's working on a Three Little Pigs, the book. Like, it looks like he has like an entire concept planned around this.
That's funny. Okay, that's pretty funny. I don't hate it. It's an okay song. But I think where I knocked it down a few pegs is that it felt like there are other songs that exist that are doing this thing that do it like way better. And like it felt a little like cheesy in a way. It's like obvious. Three Little Pigs. Like the second you say that, I know what you're talking about. There's no question of what your metaphor is, basically. And what I kept thinking about when I was listening to this was Jay-Z's The Story of OJ, because it even has a similar sound to it. The kind of like jazzy, like slower beat, but with like some very like insightful lyrics on top. But what Jay-Z did with The Story of OJ was like fucking blow people's minds, was make a controversial hip hop song that like made people stop and go, holy fuck, like listen to the lyrics and think like, Jesus. This song never made me stop and go like, oh, this is the state. It was just very like obvious. He does still tell a story. He still like has like, he clearly has created like his own vision with this. And so I still gave it like, I was leaning between a 6 or 7. I honestly can't decide. I'm not even going to land on one. I'm at a 6 or 7. I can't even really land on one because the 6 side of me can't help but think about things that have done it better. But the 7 side of me is like, yeah, but this is still a really good song that tells a story and has a message. So
I think too, this was probably one of my favorite beats. I really love that nitty gritty, really dark kind of very rap beat. And I loved how he used, well, I guess this is probably more of the engineer, how much sound effects, the water guns, the police sirens, doors opening up, paper pages being flipped as you're going through the story.
Yeah, it's literally like a
from
cartoon.
From the song as a whole, that was the other thing is it wasn't just like, because it's not like the most impressive thing he's written, but the way everything comes together as a full picture. And like, tell me you couldn't close your eyes and picture like someone, and this is something I think he does well in most songs, but in this song, you could picture every moment of every line, like as he's narrating it, and like the grandfather or whoever reading, well, it's actually just him reading to his son this story. And I think again, I think he just took a very simple subject and did it in a very interesting way.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess, because to your point, I think what happened to me is that every time I would imagine the story that was happening, I kept imagining it as a black and white rubber band cartoon, in the same way that the story of OJ was like,
right.
I kept kind of like melding those two things together, and like that's my own bias, but like my brain couldn't help but just be like, fuck, this makes me want to just go and watch the story of OJ music video.
24 Hours to Live.
This is a song that the music video saved it for me.
Interesting.
Yeah. I liked the beat a lot. I like the hook. I like the flow, right? It's like all of those things I'd give like an 8 out of 10. It's very catchy. It hits. It's very listenable. It was the lyrics that I started to like nitpick a little bit, because just listening to it without the music video, it just kept feeling like he's a sociopath. I wouldn't do any of the things that you're talking about, but you keep talking at me like I agree with you. Like, yeah, wouldn't you fucking go and murder everybody that fucking hates you? Wouldn't you go and rob a bank? Wouldn't you go and do... And I was just like, no, I wouldn't do any of those things. But the music video, when it's like him and a group of friends and all of his friends start getting real hype about what they would do with 24 Hours to Live, and he's just kind of sitting there like, oh, fuck. Like, that gave it the context I needed, where I was like, oh, so he's not talking about literally what he would personally do. This is like a group of friends who are high and drunk, and they're all like, oh, what would you do? Like,
they're all hyped up on the moment.
Yeah. There was something about that disconnect of like the art of like the story he's portraying, and then the fact that this is just one singular song that you can listen to by itself and then take something away from it. Because if this is like the only song you ever heard from Joyner, you might be like, dude, what is this guy okay? Like, because literally every line is like, man, I would fucking destroy them, I'd kill them. It's like, okay, whoa. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, this one, I originally have it as a 9 out of 10, and I'm almost at an 8 out of 10, because again, I really enjoy this song.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool story. Again, the beat is absolutely insane. The energy. He does actually a couple things that I really like, where he references old songs of his in that, like he mentions his that like Kill All the Broskies. He references No More Ramen and OJ. Ramen and OJ is a song of his. So there's a few things, and then the end skit is absolutely fucking hilarious. Of like, you only got 24 hours to live. He's like, oh my god, what could be worse than that? Couldn't get a hold of you yesterday. That right up my alley. It's almost like for that one, I've seen when Joyner is like going off doing some crazy shit, and like. And I think I'm realizing this a little bit more now with this album. This album has some incredible, some of my favorite Joyner tracks on it. And then there's other songs where I'm like, this is good. But I know Joyner could also make like a great version of this.
I'll be less nice. This has some of Joyner's worst songs. It has some of his best songs. Like I think Broski and that, like those are up there. Like that's some of his best work. Mm-hmm. But this album also has, I think, like some of his like songs I won't listen to ever again, probably.
Fair.
Yeah. It's very interesting, the up and downs on this one. Yeah, that was a very listenable song. Yeah, I'm looking here. I think I got very unforgiving as we got to the end of this album here.
So it's funny, once we hit where was it? Once we hit like Waiting on This Broski, I was like, oh shit, this album's insane. Because that's when I was giving like most of my tens. And then I'd say, yeah, it was right. Yeah, Love, Fake Promises, and When I Need Love kind of dipped. And then after Three Little Pigs, because like I like 24 Hours to Live. The more I think about it though, I like the songs that I've had on repeat, Broski, Three Little Pigs, and Sticks and Stones. Like those three are the ones that I listen to the absolute most.
And I don't want to sound sensitive. I'm going to sound like a fucking soy boy here. But there's a few lyrics in that song, The 24 Hours to Live, that like trigger me a little bit. If I'm being like, because like we've actually gone through shit in this country that has been very scary. So when I hear him say like, oh, if I had 24 hours to live, I'd break into the White House and put everyone on fucking lockdown and tell them to run it my way. That actually scares me. Like, I actually like don't like that at all. Like at all. Like we've had people try to do that. So, I just feel like there's like a tone deafness to that where it's like, yeah, that's funny. I get that he wouldn't actually do that. This is like him. It's the Eminem thing, you know, where it's like Stan. I'd lock him in my fucking, you know, back of my car and I'd drive him out to the fucking forest and murder him. It's like supposed to be that, but something about it felt so grounded and real. I don't know. It scared me a little bit. I was like,
That's fair.
Yeah. Still all right. 5 out of 10. I hate Logic. I couldn't. He ruined the song for me.
I gave that one a 7 out of 10. It was a less aggressive beat.
Yeah, but his low vocals were still fast. I even wrote like the somber beat, but fast vocals is kind of throwing me off.
Yeah, I really like Twister's feature on that. I felt like Twister was a little better about staying on subject.
I feel like Twista should have been on like I'm Ill, because he could have gone off. Like the whole point of Twista is that he's a fast rapper. That's like, I mean, obviously I'm sure Twista would not like to be known as just
Only
the
as-
fast
yeah.
rapper. I get that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Twista. I don't mean to disrespect you. But if he's a feature, you show off. You show off what Twista can do. And I feel like picking a song that has such a slow beat and yet Twista is still throwing in his like, it's like, it sounded like a little off to me. It's like they recorded the vocals with a different beat and then changed the beat out before the final release or something.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It didn't wow me.
Yeah, I ended up going with a 7 out of 10 on that one.
We got 3 songs left. So, all right, here's an interesting one. This is a big one. This is the Mac Miller song. We got 17.
Amanda loves this one. My wife loves this song.
Was she a fan of, and did she know about Donald Trump by Mac Miller?
Actually, I don't know if she knew that song.
Because that's the only reason I could see liking this song. I just don't think he did anything with the beat. And it rubs me the wrong way. I don't know their relationship. So I can only infer, and I've never seen them work together. I've never seen them interact, and he's using one of his beats and post-mortem. And like, who did he get permission from to use this beat? Like, of course he did. Of course someone gave him permission to use this beat. But was it Mac? And like, I don't know. When this song started, I was immediately kind of rubbed the wrong way. I don't know.
Interesting. I will say this. It is, I think, a lot more common in rap for rappers to rap on other people's beats. Maybe not as much post-mortem, but
yeah.
I think me knowing that he had to get permission from somebody, I'm assuming the estate was like, you know,
His family
hey,
or something.
We're okay with this. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just going off that assumption. But yeah, in terms of the song itself, I gave this one a 7 out of 10. Part of it is just like hearing it. I was just hearing Mac Miller,
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I'm just waiting for it to go in, and I'm on my Donald Trump shit, win the world, and like that's what made that song so fucking good. In a way, I don't know if he's trying to like separate Donald Trump from this beat. I can respect that if that's what you're trying to do.
Funny.
I can respect
It's
that.
like, okay, so what did you give that one?
5.
5. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't give anything below a 5 out of 10. I'll say that. And that might not sound like, whoa, fucking wow. But no, I mean, because a 5 means that I'll listen to it. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that I won't search for it. If there's a better choice that I would rather listen to, I might ask the person who put it on, like, oh, hey, have you heard? Like, check out after this song. Have you heard this?
Okay. Next is How Much Do You Love Me? This one definitely reminded me the most of the like 21 Questions by 50 Cent. But again, this part I know comes into me I just like my rapidy rap shit. I like my bars. I like the impressive, cool shit.
Just say it. Just dig into it. It sucks. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't suck.
No.
I give it a 6 out of 10.
I gave it a 7 out of 10 because again, it's not even done wrong. He does a really good job of it's that, I'm going to take you through a story of why I love you so much, and I'm going to use all these different examples to paint that picture. I think these are all really impressive writing skills to use. It's one of those where I just want to hear more about gangster rap shit than I do a love song.
I mean, to your point, it's jarring because like you can't have 5 songs in a row calling women bitches and telling them their place and then have this song. Unless you are trying to tell like a deeper story about a specific person's journey through love and relationships and make that clear, this song just feels very out of place. It's a cheesy love song. And it's like, where did this come from? Like, if this song was like before Fake Promises, right? And then Fake Promises was kind of like revealing his inner feelings of like, oh, well, I was only in love with you because I think I can like control you. And then he realizes that's not right, or it's, you know what I mean? Like there almost is a story arc here. It's just not in the right order. I don't know. Did we already say what we gave this one? I think we did, right? Yeah, you said 7.
Yeah, I said 7.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you said 6.
Yeah. Yeah, it just felt really out of place. I don't know.
And lastly, we have Not Now, I'm Busy, which I feel like this is definitely an outro song. And by that, I mean, like, I gave this a 7 out of 10, but that is for what it was. He didn't design this as like, oh, this is a song people are going to just go into and listen to on a regular basis. Like it begins with it being him talking and explaining like this album is just me realizing that I had to kill my old self in order for me to continue on, that I couldn't just be that nice guy anymore. And I had to turn my back on all that. Like, and then it goes into like this really cool, like the beat gets crazy. The singer has a phenomenal voice, has some really interesting lines, but like it's maybe like a verse tops with a little bit of a hook.
Yeah, I think he did her dirty. I give this a 5 out of 10. I didn't, because I'll just read what I wrote because I think it's more than it's what I want to say. I wrote, not really much of a song, and I'm not a huge fan of skit albums, but only when they don't lean into the skits like this one. There's just some radio static connecting them thematically, but that's kind of lazy. The female vocalist Nefertiti's is amazing, and he completely wasted her. 5 out of 10. Like, where was she on the rest of this album? What you brought, like this, she's incredible. She has such an amazing vocal range. And she actually shows up a little bit at the end of How Much Do You Love Me? Did you notice that? There's like a little vocal hook that she has that kind of shows up, and then it leads into the last song. So there is that kind of like theme thing, but it's like, you pulled her out of nowhere and you didn't even put her on like a real song. Like, I almost felt bad. I was like, why? You did her dirty. Like, she's not going to get any streams. That 5 out of 10. And that's what sucks is like some of the songs on this album really brought it down, because I have a few 9s and 8s and 7s that would have kept this up at such a higher range, but then I had other ones that just really just knocked it down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anything else you want to say about that song in particular, or you just kind of want to wrap up our thoughts about the album?
Just wrap up, just because, again, like, you kind of get a verse-ish from her, and that's about it. So there's really not too much to add, I'd say.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, this has been our review of Joyner Lucas. I will say, have you changed at all on your rating? I'm debating whether or not I'm swaying. I think honestly I'm still landing on just rating them 6.5. I know we don't do points out of 10.
I think albums almost, I don't know why it feels different, but I feel like albums, there's more nuances because you have different pieces. Because I was about to say, I feel more comfortable with an 8.5 because, again, I feel like it would be a disservice for me to try to give him a higher score by comparing him to artists that, like, it would be easier to score against.
Yeah. But even just compared to his older stuff, in my opinion, it doesn't hold up as well, like half of the tracks on this album.
Yeah. But, like, for me, I'm like, I really want to compare and be like, hey, do I like this song as much as I like an Eminem song? And luckily, majority of the time, yes. The amount might vary a bit. But again, for me, like, the big three songs that I've had on repeat continuously is Sticks and Stones, Three Little Pigs, and Broski.
Yeah. And those are probably some of the better songs in the album. I wasn't a huge fan of Three Little Pigs, but again, that's only because I kept thinking of Jay-Z. I just couldn't help but keep connecting it to that because it sounded so similar. But yeah, there's some genuinely good songs on this album. Like Broski is a classic. I think that'll go down as one of his best songs. I'm Ill is like a banger. It's just a banger. Yeah. That's just really the only way you can describe it. But yeah,
What's That? I think What's That deserves another listen because that one I think
I'm gonna check it out. I gave it a 5 out of 10, so I'll have to re-listen. But I just the first 2 times I heard it, I just kept thinking like he's just repeating the same shit over and over. But maybe it's the stuff in between that maybe it's just I was zoning it out, but it's so good that it makes it worth that kind of repetitiveness. I have to listen to it again.
Yeah, because Joyner's definitely one of those artists where, like, off like maybe the first 1, 2, even 3 times you'll hear something and it's not till the 5th or 6th where you're like, oh, these are 3 or 4 different ways he's saying the exact, like, he's purposely flipping this to show I can do this however which way.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think it's one of those, he's so good at finessing things that he can make you miss.
Yeah.
Because it's like I can do it.
But that also does give him that safety net a little bit, where it's like even if he writes a line that isn't that great, you can kind of convince yourself like maybe there's something more. And it's
also
like
true,
but maybe there isn't. Maybe he was just like 200 divided by 2 is 100. I don't know what else to tell you.
I'm too good at math.
That's just all there is to it. All right, yeah, this was fun. I did not expect to be doing an album review this soon, I guess. I don't know. I didn't know how long into the show we would get before we got away from movies. So this is fun.
Yeah, it had recently dropped. I'm a huge Joyner fan. I'll probably end up seeing him when he comes here on tour, because the other cool thing that I'll say he'll do is at his shows, he has so much like interactive skits and things where like he'll bring like audience members from the show and he'll bring them up on stage and be like, you sit in that chair, you sit in that chair, you sit in that chair. Like, he had pizza come, and it wasn't like an actual
about this.
Yeah. And so then, like, while he's performing the song on stage, these girls are literally just sitting up there on the couch eating slices of pizza. And it's like, but when he does that, there was like a 15-minute skit that opened to the first song that he did when he performed here in town last time. And again, I think he has this entire image, and from the music videos to the live performances, he's like, it will be everything will be expressed, everything will be voiced, and it'll all be presented. But it's just like that's how his brain works.
I wish, because that makes sense. And he's such a businessman that I can understand why he's not doing this. But I wish that he would take that 15-minute skit you're talking about, put it in the fucking album. Like, I understand that he doesn't want to because he's probably thinking business-wise. Like, nobody's going to buy an album that has a 10-minute skit in the middle of it. And they're going to skip that song, and it's going to ruin my streaming. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to fuck up my album sales and my streaming numbers because I'm going to have one song on there that only has 20,000 streams because it's a fucking skit. I get that. I get the business side of it. But the artistic side of it makes it like, dude, just do the thing you want to do. If you have an idea for that song that's a 10-minute long story, put that on the fucking album. I want to hear that. I want to hear why the character of this song is acting this way. Because otherwise, you either just sound like a sociopath or you don't understand how drug addiction works. So it's like, I don't know. But I that's the thing is I know that that's not what he thinks. I know that Joyner doesn't have a terrible opinion on drug use. I know that he doesn't think that way. So that's why the songs confuse me at times. Yeah, that makes sense though. It's like, I'd love to see him live because I feel like I bet this album live is like an experience. You know what I mean? It's like a 2-hour long experience. There's like little in between skits, and it probably makes the whole arcing story of this make way more sense. But yeah, as it is, I like just listening to it through without having any context. I landed on a 6.5. It's kind of where I'm at.
6.5 and an 8.5.
Not terrible. It's
No,
a good
not
start.
terrible at all.
No, we love you, Joyner. Please come on our podcast. Defend yourself. Yell at me.
Love to have you.
Call me a little bitch. I don't care.
Just to him though.
Yeah.
Don't.
No. Call both of us little bitches. 8.5. No. What the fuck is that, dude? This is a 10. You call him a real fan? You call this guy a real Joyner Lucas fan? Don't make me fucking change my
score because of goddamn peer pressure. All right.
You call him a real fan, Joyner? 8.5. All
right.
You got to message this guy. Tell him to put it up to a 10 because I don't think he's a real fan. I don't know.
Skrillex, Skorge says you don't know how to master.
Listen. Skrillex's most recent album was a 7. Just saying it. Anyway, it's my turn to suggest something, right?
Yes.
Skrillex's new album. No, I'm kidding. I almost wanted to do an album, but you know what? I think back to back, it's a little too much.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
But I am going to break it up a little bit. Still going to do something different. We're going to do our first fan suggestion. So, finally, yes, you. Gerbils. We're going to watch Edge Runners.
Oh, we're edging again?
We're going to edge, dude. We're going to edge and goon and just never finish. In fact, we shouldn't even watch the last 10 minutes of the final episode. We won't even know how it ends.
Is this a series?
Yeah. So it's a mini series on Netflix.
Gotcha.
My defense is that if we have a week to do this, thinking if we watch an episode every other day, at the minimum, we should be able to finish it.
Now, is that on Dagashi Kashi time, or is that on...
No, because we also had to watch other things and do a show while I was watching Takashi Kashi. This is the only thing you have to watch.
That's fair. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, I think we can get through this in a week. I'll give us a little bit of leniency. I'll say if for some reason we've only gotten halfway through the season, or like one of us has only gotten halfway or something like that, we'll just talk about the first half and then do it part 2 type thing. But I think we can finish it. I think we can do it. We got this.
All right, I'm here.
You're not going anywhere. What are you going to do? Walk? What are you going to walk around?
Still can't. Would you believe that?
Still
fucking awful.
And not for quite some time. I'm so sorry, man. I don't mean to. I'm not going to. I love you.
I love you.
We still have a podcast. All right, man.
Oh, no.
So yeah, if you don't want to be spoiled for Cyberpunk Edge Runners on Netflix, make sure to watch those before next episode of the Neon Valley Media Club.
Go edge yourself.
Mitchell, besides
educate.
You know what? Never mind. I was going to ask if you had anything else to say, but I feel like that was it. Can't. This is an audio show. No, you can't. You're not going to talk. Can't say anything.
I had nothing else to say. Bye, everybody.